Here is a PDF for your reference. I'll go ahead and bring that up right now. Things I want to talk about today. I'll start here in a few seconds. Okay, it's 2 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and get started. If people join late, that's fine. Like I said, here's a PDF you can download. I'll also send it out when I send out the weekend newsletter announcement. So let's take a look at this, and I'm going to show you some things I've been working on. And I've already done some videos on this, but I want to reinforce it and show you how I am using this every day. And by the way, I've made a few changes in my warehouse views. For example, I added the W&B SmartGroups to folder number 11 so you know what it is. Number 11A is User SmartGroups end of day, and 11B is intraday, and you rebuild the User SmartGroups first every day. And I'm going to take you through all of that just to show you how powerful this is. I am putting a lot of emphasis on VPA, and I'll show you that as we go through it. We're going to look at charts with VPA. I'm going to bring up my warehouse views, and I'm going to use this sort here when I'm doing the intraday, and I'll point out why. And these are just some steps I'm going to go through just to show you the power of what I'm doing. And now, I've been involved with VSA, VPA for a long time. I wouldn't consider myself an expert at it. I've become more and more familiar with it, and my history as I first learned about it in the early 2000s from Tom Williams with Tradeguider software, and I actually bought that software. It's still in use by some people. It's pretty clunky, but comparing it to what we can do with HGSI, there's just really no comparison, and I want to show you that. So let me get this out of the way, and we'll get started. Of course, I don't need to show you this, but all trading strategies are used at your own risk, and you know that very well. Let me, oops, hang on. I need to minimize this. Get this out of the way, and this is just running in the background now. I have it in the Major Markets Plus folder, top-down analysis intraday, and you can see that what's showing up through here, everything's pretty positive day today. The range, the daily range, is down on the QQQ and also the SPY. It's down, well, I'll just bring up a chart here. You can see it gapped open on the SPY, and then it traded down, and then there is some support coming back into it because it's in the middle of the range. It looks like it was lower. I kind of lost track of the markets today while I was working on this stuff, but look at the volume. This is what I commented on yesterday, or about yesterday, on the Skype board about how low the volume is here. Extremely low yesterday and low again today. Doesn't mean the market can't go up, but it would be nice to see a little more enthusiasm. Okay, I'm going to get out of here and go to my list and get started. On that list, let me bring it back up if I can. These are, I'm not going to talk about this or this today. We'll talk about this a little bit, but I prospect, I do this every morning. I look at the major indexes, the sectors, the industry groups, and then I prospect with this group here that's on top first, because these are the Woodward and Brown Smart Groups that I put together probably 15 years ago, and they have been very good at locating group rotation. They still continue to work after all these years. And then during the day, so this is really for end of day prospecting. During the day, I run these scans, and it looks for stocks and groups that are up for the day. They're positive or they're down. And then at the end of the day, the last build of this, or when you do your downloading and these groups are created, the final group for the day, they'll go in this group right here. So what this allows us to do is compare the Woodward and Brown Smart Groups to the end of day Smart Groups, which are created from the intraday groups. Now I hope that makes sense to you. You'll see it as I go along. Can you all still hear me? Okay, thanks, Paul. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to go like I would do at the end of the day or the beginning of the day. I don't do anything at night. I'm too tired. I go to bed early and so on. So I do everything in the morning when I'm fresh. And the first thing I do after doing my market analysis and so on, which I'm going to skip here, we'll save that for another time. I go to all securities. I hold my alternate space bar down, and whenever you're in the program, anywhere in the program in HGSI, if you hold your alternate key in the space bar, it will take you directly to all securities, and that's where we want to be. Now I'm going to close this, and I'm going to go to folder number 11, stocks and groups, moving up smart groups. We have the smart group, which looks at all stocks and cuts it off, starts it off at 100. I think Alexa's talking to me over there, so sorry about that. Anyway, it cuts everything off at 100. That's an arbitrary number, and these are driven by a combo rank, which is based upon demand. And this is a combo that I made many years ago, but it works. It still works. So this is the way the market looked last night, or this group of stocks looked last night, and you can see it was dominated by the semiconductors. If I click on this and go to industries, you can see that the semiconductor stocks were the dominant group last night, followed by application software and then semiconductor manufacturing. So this is sorted automatically with the raw combo on the industry percentage price change one day. So if you go down this list right here, you can see that these are sorted according to the percentage price change of the industry. So it's all nicely laid out in front of us. Now, I've got a 34-inch monitor here, so I get a lot of information on this screen. Now, you may not have that large of a screen. If you don't, you'll have to scroll to the right to see all of this, or get rid of some of the columns you don't want. You can modify it yourself, but I actually use all of this information. So anyway, this is from last night. Now I'm going to bring that spectrum analyzer back up, and these are the stocks from $1 to $15, and these are the industry groups that were appearing on that. This one contains will pick up 100 stocks no matter what the price is. But years ago, when I first put this together, I was presenting this, and I was missing out on a lot of low-priced stocks. In fact, George Lee, who's no longer with us, unfortunately, pointed out. He said, "You mean the precious metals aren't showing up and moving?" And that's because most of them were under $5. So that's why I went ahead and added this group, $1 to $5. Now, what you can do here is I'm showing the end of day version of it, but I want to see what these stocks do the following day, or if they follow up on the move the prior day. So all you have to do, if you want to keep it in order, just go up here, click on the combo and release it, and all of these stocks will stay in the same order. And then you can go to the intraday version. The stocks did not move, the groups did not move, but I can see immediately which of these stocks are following through. So here's the column here, the percentage price change 1 day, that's intraday. These stocks which were moving yesterday are all moving up, and you can see that there are some stocks that are not. If I resort this and bring those to the top that are not following through, you can see the majority of them are only 20 stocks out of the 100 are down today. So it's just I re-engaged the raw combo there. It's just a easy way to see which ones are following through, and you can do it on both the full size group or the stocks, the 1 to 15 stocks. These are the 1 to 15 stocks. So I'll go back to the end of day. I'll release this combo again and sort on this. None of these changed, and you can see which one followed through. Now, the reason that this is important is if you're looking for groups that are on the move and you maybe want to take a position, and a quick way to see or follow the strength from the prior day is just to come in here and use this. Does that make sense? Any questions about that? Just try it. This is release the combo right here. Okay, I guess there are no questions, so I'm going to move on. Thanks, Tom. Now, the next one, I'm not going to do anything with it because I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong one. 11A, because these are captured at the end of day, and I'm going to go in and show you that here in a few minutes. This group right here, stocks and groups moving up, these are User SmartGroups, and they are intraday. So to use these properly, what I do first is I just go into the industries, and I'll take the filter off. I'll hold my shift key and click on this, and I'll click on tools, and I'll rebuild the indexes in the group. And what it's doing, it's going in and pulling out the most current, or building the groups from the most current prices of stocks. So this will be up-to-date group information. It really doesn't take very long to do it all. And then you go under Tools and you rebuild the Smart Groups. This takes less than a minute, 30 seconds. Depends on the speed of your computer, of course. Okay, that's it. Now it's just finishing up. Now, initially, I thought, well, you can just go in and go into these smart groups, but I wanted to make it easier. So that's why I put the 11B here, stocks and groups moving to the upside intraday. I'm in all securities, but it goes in and grabs those smart groups directly. You can see there are 100 stocks in here. So this is going directly to the User SmartGroup right here. The only criteria in this filter is if these are a group member of that smart group that I created, they're going to appear through here. Now, the sort here is the industry percentage price change 1 day. You can see that the strength today is there's only one stock in this renewable energy project. Office electronics starts getting a few down here under e-commerce, and then there's semis are still in here. Not as many, so some of them must be backing off, but I limited this arbitrarily to 100 stocks. I think that just gives us a good feel for what's going on in the market. Now, if I click on the spectrum analyzer, it shows me the groups that are populated the most. Or, of course, I can look at the sector also. And then something else, since I'm going to be spending a lot more time on with VPA. I'm not going to do that right now, though. I'll show you that later. You can actually go in and look at the spectrum analyzer to see which VPA signals are appearing first. I guess I could do it right now. So I'll just type in VPA. And this would be last night's, this column right here, what appeared the most. And yesterday was a strong day. So effort to rise was the dominant VPA flag, followed by no demand and test for supply. And all of these are over here. Now I want to do a resort here on the PDF file. By the way, some people came in late. Let me put that PDF up here again. You can download that when you get a chance. Now, I'm going to do a multiple sort. This is a powerful feature in HGSI. So I'm going to do raw combo, which is the industry rank, and then I'm going to do last VPA signal condition. So I just type VPA in here and select that, and then I'm going to select, just type in range, and you have range and intraday range. I want intraday range. When you're doing this at night, if you use this sort, just use range. And then it resorts everything. There wasn't much of a resort there, but the groups, well, let's go to semiconductor devices, and actually let's go to e-commerce. There's a few more of these. So my sort now is on the last VPA signal condition. There's nothing in here but the group. This is not really what I want to show you here. It's okay. It's going descending. So here it is. Here's the last VPA signal condition here. There's a 0 in this column, which means there is a signal today. And if there's a 0 here, this column here is going to be populated. So on this stock, PDD Holdings, I can see on this sort, it's in a group that's up 2.12% today. A one-day change is 5.83%. Currently trading at 71.35% of its daily range. So it's holding up fairly well, and I can see the volumes above average, and it trades 10 million shares on average. So it's a pretty liquid stock, and an up bar closing near the high. So let's go take a look at this chart. I'll just make it full screen. And this is the VPA signal which was generated yesterday. And before that, there was a strength seen returning and a stopping volume VPA flag. So this was the first day that a VPA flag was showing up, and this was confirmation yesterday. And this would have shown up on this scan if this stock appeared yesterday. I don't know if it did or not during the day. But you can see that buyers are stepping in here. Now, one thing I always remember from Tom Williams, who is no longer with us, he died 3 or 4 years ago. He always said that strength comes on down bars and weakness comes on up bars. Now, that isn't generally how we think about stocks and how we think about where strength and weakness is. But if you think about it, this is a strong bar right here, or a strong candle. It opened here, traded down here, and closed near the high, and there were 2 VPA flags generated, so that is a strong bar. Then it was confirmed right here by this one. If I click on this, you look up here, up bar closing near its high. This confirms the return of strength. Thanks, Patrick. So here, this is a strong bar. These are weak bars. But you can see strength. There is some strength in these bars because of the lower wick. So there are buyers. So-called smart money, or big money, is trying to absorb these stocks as they're being sold off when they think that they're getting to a point where there is a fair price for them in their perception of it. They're in here, they're stepping in here and starting to accumulate. They did it over here. This is a stopping volume, but then they found out there was still more supply. So there was demand here, and then this is all supply. And then down here, this is where demand stepped in. The market started going up. The market really has been weak or all over the place, as you know. But this is where they see value. And this is totally foreign to IBD type investing, where you're buying breakouts only. With people with deep pockets that can afford to ride these things out, you know, they'll take a chance on getting into these trades down here. And let's say, let me bring this up, alternate A. I'm just going to, let's say if you had bought at the close yesterday and held it 4.4%, no, 6% change from here to here. You know, and that's certainly not bad for one day. You can see that it's falling off, but we have an effort to rise right here. Now, did you see that disappear? That effort to rise just disappeared, which is a great example that these VPA signals or flags are formed intraday when we're getting updated data from Thinkorswim. Now, I've got mine set on 5 minutes, so it updates every 5 minutes, and you saw that just update and that effort to rise disappeared. I had to take a drink. Sorry about that. Okay, so what I'm looking for is I like to see stocks with a VPA flag that occurred yesterday. And like I said, if there's a 0 in this column is going to be populated. And this column here is from the day before. So this is analog devices, ADI. Here's a 0, means there was a VPA flag yesterday, and there was a test before that. This is VPA -1, which means this was yesterday and this was the day before. So we're getting 2-day signals here. So let's just look at ADI. Wow, amazing. Okay, here we go again. Strength appears on down bars. This opened here, traded all the way down here, closed near the high, and this is a test. And then this was a confirmation of that test, and there was an effort to rise and then a gap up today. And let me go to a different chart. I'm going to go to a Williams chart. I kind of like these charts because there's green bars if the close is higher than the prior day, or red bars if it's lower. So it's easy to see trends or lack of trends. Like, look at this mess here. There wasn't any kind of a trend at all, but I mean there were signals, but it was really going nowhere. But here, let me move this down a little bit. Okay, yesterday. This is a signal from yesterday, an up bar closing near its high, and the day before that was a test for supply. So I like to look for tests, because if a stock is in an uptrend, that is one of the better VPA signals that you can get. Look at all these tests. There's a test that worked. Here's a test. Well, there's a huge gap up on that test. Let me zoom out. Let me make it full screen here. Let's see. Here's a test that worked. Here's a test that worked eventually. You can see it went up. Here's a test that failed. But a lot of these tests, which are the magenta squares, are an excellent way to look for strength. Do I ever sell into strength? In the past, I have. Generally, I like to hold and see what's happening. I mean, how do you know where strength is going to end? You don't. But, you know, if you get a VPA flag, let's say you have this and you get one of these the next day and you're in here on this stock and you see one of these, yeah, you're out. I generally don't use moving average breaks. I have a spreadsheet that I use that I created, and I know my risk before I ever go in, and I just put hard stops in and trailing stops. So, but we can talk about that some other time. Moving average crossovers, 3 going down through the 6, you know, that's a good stop too for me, but generally I just have like if I'm risking $250 on a trade and it moves my direction, it's not a percentage, Patrick. It's always based upon a chart. It's based upon, let's say if I saw this and I chased this gap open here and caught it, my stop would be down below here, and that is all determined in a spreadsheet. Okay. Here's a couple of cheapy stocks I was looking at. I didn't trade either one of them. Yes, I did. I traded this ERJ yesterday. I don't know what it's doing. Anyway, I'm just going to talk about this for a few seconds. All I do is I put the high, the low in here, and it figures the low minus 4 cents. So these numbers were based upon a chart. And then I know my risk, and it told me that if I wanted to risk $500 on this trade, and if I added 500 in here, you can see my risk is $4.95 and my target's 1R, which is 1 reward, would be at 17.05, 2 R's at 18.04, and so on. So if it goes my way, I just move my stops up to break even. So it's just, it's based on, it's not, you know, I don't use any technical stuff as far as, or hard percentages. Everything's based on a chart, which makes more sense for me anyway. Everybody has their own way of doing it. Anyway, I don't want to get lost here. Do you like this VPA stuff? Let me ask you that. Do you like talking about this and looking at the charts? I think it's really personally the only way to look at a chart. And this line right here, represents the group. That's why I put this overlay in here. So I know what the semiconductor group is doing just by looking at this line. Now, geez, I've already talked a half hour and I'm hardly getting started, so we better get going. Anyway, this is based upon the groups. And what I decided to do is I wanted to know where demand is in these stocks. So what I did, if you go down here, first of all, here's $15 and up stocks. These are $1 to $15 stocks sorted by group. These two down here are intraday demand. So when I click on this, it switches to a different combo, and these are the stocks that are most in demand. They come to the top of the list. Notice that the industry group is not sorted the same anymore. That's secondary. I'm sorted on raw combo, which is a percentage price change one day and the percent volume compared to the 20-day moving average volume. So what do we have here? We have Rambus, which came up. Yesterday it had an effort to rise, and before that it had an effort to fall. So what does this tell you just by looking at this spreadsheet? Well, this visual spreadsheet. It tells you that this is a one-day reversal, right? Effort to fall 2 days ago. Yesterday was effort to rise. By the way, I didn't point out, you can look over here at the EPS rank, relative strength rank, Kirkpatrick strength, group rank, or an ERG. So this is an ERG 270 stock. So let's bring up the chart and see how this worked. I'm going to point out that this represents this column 2 days ago because this is today. So this was an effort to fall. Volume was pretty heavy, but then it opened here and moved up, taking out this resistance right here on an effort to rise. So there really wasn't any strength in this bar. There was a little bit of buying at the end here. And then effort to rise, which is represented by this column right here, and then there's follow through here today. So this stock is currently the one that's in most demand based upon my scan. If I want to go back to the other one, I just go back here and it resorts according to group. But if I want to see the demand again, I just go right here and it takes these to the top. Let's look at the 1 to 15 group. Here's a silver stock. Look at this. There were 2 efforts to rise before today. So there must have been buyers, strong buying on this stock before today. So here was day number 1, which represents this column. Here's day number 2, which represents this column. And here's day number 3. Look at this. 3 efforts to rise on tremendous volume, tremendous demand. I don't know what the deal is on this stock, but I do know that it probably came up yesterday also. We can go take a look here in a minute and see what stocks did appear yesterday. But you can see that this is very helpful just to look across here. You can see the group, you can see the signal, if there was a signal, and when it happened. Now let's look at one more. There's no supply on this specialty pharma yesterday. Cheap stock, here's your no supply. See that green dot? It just means, look at the volume. It was down here, can't even see the volume. And then big move up today on $1.50 stock. Let me go back up to the prior one. Let's find a stock that's, let's look at this one here. FLNC, I don't know anything about it. Renewable Energy Project. No supply 2 days ago, and strength seen returning yesterday, and it's up 17% today. Here's your no supply. Strength seen returning. Okay, once again, strength appears on down bars. It opened here, traded down to here, and reversed. That's what Tom Williams meant by strength appears on down bars, and then here is your follow through today. So, you know, it's just so hard for me, it has been over the years, to get past that IBD thinking that you buy relative strength only and breakouts, because that's a great way to get your head handed to you. And it works sometimes. Yes, it does. Some stocks go on forever. But if you look, for example, at this stock, look at all of these accumulation days down here. Here's stopping volume. Look at that volume. And it never did get below this low here. You know, they've got decent revenue. Their earnings are negative, but they're improving. You can look under here and it tells you what it is. But by looking at these and really studying what these VPA signals are telling you, you can get a lot of information. Okay, let me move on here. I need to check my list. Okay, I'm covering analyze. Okay, I know what I want to do here. Let's go back. I'll use this one right here. I'll just go back up here to, I want to stay in 11B. I just want to resort on the industry groups. Now, you know, there's a lot of stocks here. How do you know which ones are trending or not? Now, I've told Paul Reiki about this, just something that I discovered in addition to using the fan and sorting on that. I found that if you use the ranking module and if you put it on Wilder 14 weeks, now this is weeks, so it's best to use a weekly chart. To get to the top of the ranking module, just click on your home key. Okay, I need to do that. It takes you up to the top. And I'm going to bring up a chart. And I put a couple new charts in here for you today. So they're under miscellaneous charts right here in front of me. I'm going to use the weekly RSI. So this is the relative strength index right here, and this is a weekly chart. And you can see that this stock here is up above the 30. I haven't used relative strength for a long time. It's above the 70. 30 is a low one. It's above the 70 right here, and horizontal is 30. So it's in overbought territory, but you can see that it's trending nicely. Now let me get a different stock because let's go to the next one. You need 120 periods for VPA flags to appear on a stock. That's why this first stock didn't have any VPA flags. But now you can see that relative strength is clear up here. The RSI indicator, which is of course different than the relative strength in HGSI or the Kirkpatrick relative strength. But you can see this is a strongly trending stock. And if you look up here, it went from red to green back here, and that was back in January. So had it been in this group of stocks, which it wouldn't have been, I don't even know why I said that, because these 100 stocks would not have been together on that date. But still, you can see where, comparing it to the current group of stocks right now, where it turned green, and it was back here in January, February, no, let's see. Yeah, January 6th, which is right here where it started moving up nicely, and it's just moved up pretty nicely all along. So once again, if you're looking for strong stocks or stocks that are trending up, this is just a quick and dirty way to do it. Just click on relative strength, make sure your Wilder is set to 14 weeks, and then you can bring up a Wilder chart. Now this is a weekly chart. You can also look on a daily if you want to, but the weekly is what the ranking module is attuned to, or is in sync with, maybe is a better word. So I use that for just a quick read on where the trending stocks are. And let me click here. Let's go back to, let's just use this one. Well, let me look here. No, I don't like that one. Here's Skyline Corporation. You can see that it's trending nicely. There was an effort to rise yesterday. If I click through to the warehouse, you see you can go back and forth between the ranking and the warehouse. It's a home builder, so I can just click through to the warehouse and see that there was an effort to rise yesterday and nothing the day before. And I bring the chart back up and there's the effort to rise. Look at the volume that came into this stock. Now, back here is where it started showing a VPA flag. High volume up bar closing on the high indicates strength. That was after this one. Now, this is another good example here of strength appearing on a down bar. This was a down bar when it opened. It gapped down and buyers stepped into it. If you see stocks or charts like this or bars like this that are gapped down and buyers step into it, that's a good sign that they're accumulating this stock. Now here, this was a good example of the opposite. Weakness appears on up bars. It opened here, it traded up here, and it traded at the low. Just kind of bounced for a few days. Opened here, traded down, closed there. So this was a strong bar. Now just the reverse here. It opened here, traded down, and then reversed. So there it was down and then up. I don't have an average hold time. I just don't. I mean, I just follow the spreadsheet. If I'm taking trades, if I get stopped out, I get stopped out. Okay. Now let's see where else I want to go with this. I've got about 20 minutes. Okay. Now this is interesting. Let's say that you're using this one. You did a scan and you have a certain other criteria that you like to use. Like, let's say, for example, that you like box stocks. John, I know you like box stocks. So what I did is I went to the designer and I'm going to go to my box stocks right here. And this is all box stocks. And if I click through to this, every one of these stocks that are appearing today in this intraday scan are box stocks. How do I know? Because it's in the filter. And if I look at this column right here, it tells me what the boxes are. Now, box stocks, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, a summary statement is that these are stocks that have consistent earnings growth. And box stocks, number one, are the strongest. And if you look at this stock, you'll see that it is very strong. I'm going to get out of this. Let me show you this quickly first. It looks like a mess, but it serves a purpose. This is your stock right here. The yellow is the QQQ, blue is the SPY. You can see if a stock is performing along with the QQQ or outperforming. It's outperforming the SPY, and here is the group direction right here. Yeah, it looks like a mess. I'm the first one to admit this. But I thought it was nice. You can see the effect of the market on a stock. If the market's going down and the group's going down, you're in trouble. So just stay away from those. But you'll find this chart under the miscellaneous charts right here. Folder number 10, security group, QQQSPY, and a comparison. And here are those wilder charts right here. But what I want to do is I want to go back. I want to go back to the Williams charts with the group overlay. This is a good example of why I like these charts. You can see when a stock is really trending here, you'll see a series of green bars. You can do this with candles too, but if the close is higher than the prior day, you're going to have a green bar. Then it gets into chop, and then it starts trending again, and so on. So I like these. I think Paul Reike uses these too. He's got his own chart. So, but here's the group. You can see that the group was going down. It was outperforming the stock. This is true relative strength compared to the group. And look at these VPA flags here. Look at this test and a confirmation. Didn't go much further, but the test worked. This test worked here. This test worked here. This test worked here after a day or two. We can scan for tests only if you want to, but you can just look down here and see where the tests are supplied. Here's did I look at ADI? I already looked at ADI, didn't I? Here's another one here. I looked at that one too. Okay, now let's look at this one, Alta. Day before yesterday, effort to rise. Yesterday was a high volume down bar, but today it's up. So let's see what happened here. Look at this. Here's a test, another test, confirmation of that test, effort to rise, profit taking or shakeout. Here is a good example of weakness appears on up bars. This is a shakeout. And here's the open today, and it's out to a new high, it looks like. These VPA flags give us a tremendous amount of information. And coupled with these columns here, you can get a feel for what happened. Here's a pseudo upthrust on this one. What does that mean? It means that it traded up and failed. So it was strong and then it failed, but the next day there was strength seen returning after a downtrend. Here is another example of strength appears on a down bar. Opened here, traded all the way down here, ended right here, and then it started moving up again. If you start looking for these things, it really helps. All right. Anyway, you can just use these current smart groups today, and my point is you can go into any smart group over here, and let's just go up to the Woodward and Brown smart groups. And these are like if you use Gil Morales groups or Jeffries or anybody else, you can just come up here. This screen is in place. Let's look for high profit margin stocks. And these stocks today, these are the ones that are working today, are high profit margin stocks. Universal Display. There were no VPA flags. Accumulation is A. Relative strength is 91. Group ranks 97. The ERG's 258. Let's take a look at it. Well, there's an effort to rise today. This is a trending stock. You see the group came down, the stocks came down, the group turned around, stocks going up with the group. You can see the nice trend here. Tom Williams always said that one red bar among green bars is nothing to worry about. When you start getting multiple bars, then you really need to be alert. Now look how the group, this stock pretty much traded with the group. Group turned around, it goes up. Okay, so you get the idea. I don't have to take you through. Here's group. These stocks are outperforming the S&P over 21 days. You can use user groups. Now you've got all these in your add-on. Every one of these I put in there for you. So just use any of these. And then these are the old standard smart groups, which have been around for 15, close to 20 years probably. And let's just see if any, look at this, Best of Woodward and Brown. These 5 are showing up in this scan today. 52-week high, there's 6 that are showing up. I almost bought this one yesterday, but I didn't because I didn't notice it until it was up here, and I was leery about chasing it. Looks like it may have been a good trade. Well, not really. It's about even from here. But it is out to a new 52-week high, I believe. 52-week high. Look at this. Bud's out to a new 52-week high. Effort to rise, effort to rise. No VPA flags down here. Paycom software. Okay, and let me show you one. I got about 10 minutes. I want to show you something that I've been experimenting with. And I don't know if it's going to stay or not, but let me show you what my thinking is here. So, do you like the VPA? I already asked you that. We're going to be doing more and more of that. I still haven't committed to doing a webinar. If I will do it, I'm going to start next month. I want to do one a week for like 8 to 10 weeks. I don't want to do more than one a week. It's too much for me. But if I do it, if you're a member of the Insider Club, it's only going to be $100, which is cheap, and we can really go into this stuff in depth, market analysis, do the whole program. I mean, there's not another program out there like HGSI. We can do so much with just stuff I'm showing you today. You can't even come close to doing this with any other program. All right, I'm tired of I'm rambling, so let me rebuild my User SmartGroups. What I'm doing, these are, I had a brainwave, I think that's what Ian used to call it. I thought, sector scans with VPA flags, maybe that's something that would be helpful. And I don't know if it is or not, but we're going to take a look at it. And like I said, it's experimental. But what I did is I went in and I put every sector in here and I broke them down. Let me take the filter off. And these are all sectors that had a VPA flag yesterday. That was the end of day, and these are the ones that are coming up today, intraday. So these are all of them combined, and then these are the individual sectors. So if I go to all sectors for the intraday today and click through, let's get a warehouse view going here. And I'm just going to go up here to my number 1 folder and go to 1A, which is my standard intraday view. And actually, let's go. Yeah, this is what I want. And I didn't update the groups again, but this is from when I rebuilt the groups about a half hour ago. This is where the strength was. Now these are all sectors that had a VPA flag yesterday. Now if you look down this column, you'll see nothing but zeros, and this column is filled in also. Now, for the intraday, these prices have to be up today. So if you look at this column, you'll see that everything is up. So these are stocks that had a VPA flag yesterday and they're up today. Now, I included all VPA flags because I just wanted to make it a simple filter. So if any stock generated a VPA flag, it's in this group. And you can see there are 452 securities that passed yesterday. Now, I'm looking at a stock right here, PRG, that had a effort to fail yesterday. But it's up today. So what does this tell us without even looking at the chart? It tells us that it's probably a one-day reversal. So let's look at the chart. Here's the effort to fall. It gapped up, it traded up, but it's backing off. It's not a real powerful bar or candle. If I put a candle on here. Let's just go to the black chart for a minute here. Okay, so this really shows us. You can see it gapped open, traded up here, and came back down, but a bad volume. So even after this, they're really not buying this with enthusiasm today. But the thing is, I looked at it because it said effort to fall, and I wondered why it was up today, and I know immediately this is in the e-commerce discretionary. But you can look through here. You can see what sectors, I'm sorry, this is the last signal. This is what I wanted anyway. I can see that the predominant VPA flag in these sectors was strength seen returning after a long downtrend, and then effort to rise, and then no demand, sign of weakness. So it mixes both the bullish and the bearish. But I know these stocks are up because that is a requirement of the scan. So what I'm looking for is sector strength. Let's see if... Okay, so these indexes were built. I want to try this and see if it works. It really isn't a true way of looking at sector strength because these are only stocks that are up. But if I go up here, and I don't want to confuse you, I'm doing this just to see if it works. So if I go up here to the HGSI, you can see that every one of these stocks are up in all sectors. Now these are stocks $5 and above, and I can see which sectors have the most stocks by looking here, or I can go back to the group and I can just go to all here and click on the spectrum analyzer, and these are the conditions. And if I just go to the sector itself, it shows me the representation in the sector. And the technology group is the dominant sector. Chris, I'm going to let you talk to Paul. Well, I'll talk to Paul tomorrow, okay? Anyway, getting back to this, I kind of lost my train of thought there. So I can see where the strength is in the sectors and which sectors are dominant by running this intraday. And you can see that semiconductors are very strong too here also. I don't know how much value it has. I just put this together yesterday. But if I want to just concentrate on a sector, so I saw that the technology sector was dominant, then I can just go into this group, and this is the technology sector, as you can see, and we can see stocks that are up. Now, a couple of them have ticked negative since I've been talking, but I can concentrate on this group since it's the largest group and look for potential trades. I'd be doing this early in the day. I wouldn't be doing it late in the day. Does that make sense, or is it too confusing? Probably too confusing. But I'm looking for sector strength. I didn't do the downside. I only did the upside. I could do that too. I don't know if I'm going to have to play with this and see how it works out. See if I get decent trades out of it or not. Any questions? I've gone an hour already. I can't believe it. Let me see if I covered everything I wanted to. Oh, no, I didn't cover everything. I'll go 5 more minutes. There's the closing bell. Thanks, Tom. Let's say, oh, this sector is way, let me go back to the intraday here. I want to show you one more thing. Going to go back to all securities. Okay, stocks and groups moving up intraday. Of course, you can just work off of here, or if you want to use other screens, all you have to do is make a group, just do an alternate G, and I'll just call this, I'll just call it up intraday for now. And then that's going to isolate this group. So you can see it goes from all securities to up intraday. And then if I want to use any of the other scans, or you have your own scans, but under mine, if you're looking for, let's say you're looking for a 3-6 crossover with a 2-day window. Because I'm isolated in this group now, I can go in and use other scans, and if I'm looking for certain criteria. Let's look at the crossover indicator right here, or the continuation indicator. These are stocks that had a volume pocket pivot yesterday. In addition to be, well, let me bring up a, I've got a lot more stuff I could show you, I just don't have time to do it. Okay, so look at down here. 3 volume pocket pivots in a row. So these are continuation stocks. This is my continuation scan. 2 pocket pivot days back to back. 3 here. Heavy volume, buying on heavy volume. My point is I'm not going to go through all of these, but you can make a group and then you can apply any scan you want to. So what do I have here? I have stocks that are up today. They're moving. They're in demand. And then I can go in and I can look for other stocks or other potential trades. Now let's do one more here. Let's go to the, what am I looking for here? I don't know what I'm looking for. Undercut and rally. Let's do that one. So I'm looking for a stock where the 3 was under the 6 today, and it's up for the day, and you can see it right here. Here is a low risk trade with 2 VPA flags. If I took this trade, I would, this is getting quite a ways away. If you use your alternate A key, you can use this R tool and put it right there, and then right there, the price would be, I'd be risking 7.37% on that trade with a stop 4 cents below that pivot point. Pretty handy tool here. And I know what my risk would be. Ideally, you'd want to buy it earlier in the day. But this one I just picked up from that scan. You can see, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. That by finding stocks that are moving, and then you can go in and look for stocks that meet your criteria. Now, here's a 3-6 crossover. 0 means it crossed over yesterday, and 1 means it crossed over 2 days ago on the 3/6. So let's just look at on semiconductor. Here's the crossover right here, and it followed through a little bit today. So just to narrow down your list, make a group and then apply other scans, and then you can start bringing the VPA flags into play.